everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. This is our monthly romantic reading wrap up that we've been doing the last 3 months. It's been really fun to prove that we like other things besides just movies, that we like to read as well. And I'm film grid Rachel Wagner, and Bree's here.
Hello, everyone.
How have you been doing?
I've been great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was just telling Bree off air that I just found out I have to have glasses. So this is
Welcome to the club.
yeah. So, but the reason why that I went in is because I actually have a lazy eye, so I've had surgery twice on my eyes, but I've never needed glasses, oddly enough, and I've been having problems with my reading, and since I've been reading a lot more since we started this show, it's become more of a problem.
Yeah.
So I went and I need to have glasses. But I'm just glad I didn't need surgery. So that's good
Yeah.
news. Yes.
There's so many cute glasses out there, Rachel. You will be fabulous with
Yeah. Well,
glasses.
thank you. I just have to get very light ones because
Yeah.
I get I get headaches. So I can't have anything that's too heavy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's my
definitely.
only qualification. If you're listening and you have any suggestions for my glasses, then put in the comments.
Yeah. They're like literally like get your prescription and then just look at websites online. I mean,
Hmm.
glasses online are so cute and so affordable.
Yeah, definitely. I will do that. So if anybody wants to sponsor us for glasses, that'd be
Yeah.
great too.
As much money as I spent on the website for Moo, it's FIRMOO. I'm like,
Hmm.
y'all need to sponsor me
Yeah.
because I've gotten my sisters, my cousins, like everybody's buying glasses from this place.
Well, it must be nice though for you with all of the you like to go places to read. I
Yeah.
noticed on your Instagram, and now that things are opening back up again, that must be nice.
Yeah, I mean, really everything here closed for maybe like 2 months when everything first kicked off, like
Mm-hmm.
it really, I mean, last summer, I'll say, I think for the most part, all of last summer for like stuff was closed. The grocery
Yeah.
stores and stuff weren't crazy, but so I've life has felt semi-normal for a long time, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's weird now because all like today was the first time I was out and I was like seeing people leaving the grocery store with no masks on, and I'm like,
Right.
this is weird. Like
I know.
I'm still
When
wearing
I
mine. I'm fully vaccinated, but I don't
yeah.
know.
When I got to the doctor's office, I was wearing my mask and I'm looking around and I'm like, nobody else is. Everybody here is not. And and then my doctor came in. He actually asked me if it was okay for him to remove his mask because he's like, I'm vaccinated. I appreciated that he
That's
asked.
sweet. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
nice. But yeah, it's interesting how things are changing,
I
and
know.
it's it's nice to have those spots that because there's a whole sociological concept to the third place. I
Mhm.
don't know if you ever heard of this, but that everybody needs their work and their home and their third place, their place to go to kind of unwind and be with the community.
Yeah.
And so since all this happened, that's kind of been taken away.
Yeah. It's
And
literally home.
yeah, and if you that's why if you listen to the founder of Starbucks, I forget his name, but he talks a lot about the third place because that's what they're trying to do. Whereas with things were like an authentic third place in the past, like something that had been there for forever and was a part of the community. That's what like places like Starbucks are trying to kind of imitate the third place,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
interesting to me. But yeah, so it's nice that we at least get those back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, we have our main book that we talk about on this show, and we talk about its tropes, its spice level, its chemistry, all of that. And then we go over our reading since the last time we recorded. So we decided just to kind of shake things up. we decided to cover a mystery, and it's Murder by Page One by Olivia Matthews. And this is a pseudonym for Patricia Sargent,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
She's going to use it, I guess, for just her cozy mysteries.
Yeah, I see a lot of like what's her name? So there's a romance author, Julianne Lindsay. She writes cozy mysteries as well under I know Bree Baker. I think Jacqueline Frost. Like it's a thing with cozy
Mm-hmm.
mystery authors. It's so cool. Like you'll sometimes you don't even know that you're necessarily reading the same person because they
Yeah.
have, these pseudonyms. So that's really cool. I'm excited to see what else she puts out.
Yeah, I remember Cassidy Carter said that she has pseudonym for her spicier books. I
Hmm.
forget what it was, but yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. What do you think about pseudonyms?
I get it because I think that, especially if you're like a romance author and say you write sweet romance, well, then your readers come to expect a certain thing. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think having a pseudonym just kind of gives you that space creatively when you want to do something else and you don't necessarily, I think we as readers, we know what we want. I know if I go to Debbie Macomber, I'm going to her because I know what she's going to give me. So if she was all of a sudden to start writing like steamier
Yeah.
romances, I'd be like, wait a minute. So I think to like not have to worry about that, that's when that comes in. And I think for, you know, if you write romance and now you want to write cozy mysteries, I don't know, it's a way to like, I don't know, build another audience without losing maybe the readership you already have. I don't know. What
Mm-hmm.
do you think?
Well, it just seems like it sort of defeats the point if you literally like announce the fact it's your pseudonym.
Yeah.
I would think that they want to keep that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I get the
It's weird because
idea.
once upon a time, pseudonyms felt very like secretive, right?
I
Whereas
know,
now, not so much.
not so much. So it's interesting. I think it would be kind of fun
Hmm.
to like explore with, because I think everybody has that sort of Anne Shirley, please call me Cordelia kind of a thing, like
Yeah.
the name
Yeah.
that you wish you had been called or whatever. So it's interesting. So this book, in general, are you a fan of mysteries? Do you like mysteries?
I love cozy mysteries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love cozy. I haven't really ventured much outside of that. Like with cozies, I just love that like the murder happens off the page. Like we don't have to read all the gruesome,
Mm-hmm.
crazy details. I love how like quirky they are, and there's tons of puns. Like within this one, like the bookstore is called To Be Read, and I'm like, oh, that's TBR, what the books we're going to be reading next month or whatever. I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Golly, what was the name of the cafe? Was there a cafe or something? I can't like. There was another title mentioned in the book as well that I thought was really cute. But you see that a lot in cozy mysteries. Like they're very like punny and they're just a lot of fun. So,
Mm-hmm.
what about you? Do you enjoy them?
It's not my favorite. I mean, it took me a long time to warm up to the cozy mysteries on Hallmark Channel. I didn't want to cover them at first, but
Really,
yeah.
Rachel? Why?
I don't know. I just find them kind of predictable, and I don't know, just not
Yeah,
my favorite. Like, there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with them. I just like the rom coms much better.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to them. It's just not my favorite genre.
yeah. And I have no room. I mean, I literally started watching Hallmark's mysteries last fall with Picture Perfect and then Martha's Vineyard. So
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, like I'm so new to them as well, but I mean, I think with any genre, you just have to you learn how to read them, right? Like they can be, especially cozies, they can be very predictable, but I mean, people say romance is predictable, but like any
that's true.
genre, after you read so many of them, fantasy, sci-fi, it becomes predictable because you've learned how to read them. You know what to expect.
Yeah,
So, I think that's kind of with what it is with cozies, but I mean, some people find comfort in that predictability. So
yeah, that's true. No, that's true. And I My favorite were the garage sale mysteries, just
Yeah.
because I liked the family dynamic of it.
Yeah.
The fact they were a married couple, and I liked that. You don't really see that very much on Hallmark.
Yeah.
That was the first ones to kind of win me over. Um, and then aside from, I mean, I love Signed, Sealed, Delivered, of course, but I don't really count that as a mystery.
Okay, see, I saw that there was a marathon on probably
Mm-hmm.
like a month ago. And of course, like I slept through the first couple of episodes or whatever. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what is this? I want to watch it. It looks old, but like they're still showing it. So I'm like, okay, I want to watch this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that old. I forget when the first, because they originally had a season of uh of shows, and then they moved into doing movies.
Okay.
And I forget how many movies they have, but it's about these, not that we want to go into Postables podcast, but it's about these people at the dead end letter division that hunt down the people that these letters that come, and then it tells the story of the letter writer along with them trying to find it out. And it's just really well written. It's by the same woman who did Touched by an Angel.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So
Okay.
it's
I need to
very,
watch it.
it's a little more weighty in its themes, I think, than the typical Hallmark movie.
Hmm.
And but it's not really a mystery in the sense of nobody like it's not like it's not like trying to figure out who murdered somebody or something like that. It's just the
It's just
letters.
the letter. Okay.
So
Oh,
anyway,
that sounds so good.
it's really good. It's a great show. So then they have this Murder by Page One. Olivia Mathis. This is her first book with Hallmark. And the plot is that Marvy, a librarian, has moved from Brooklyn to a quirky small town in Georgia. When she's not at the library organizing events for readers, she's handcrafting book themed jewelry and looking after her cranky cat. At times, her new life in the South still feels strange, and that's before the discovery of the dead body in the bookstore. After one of her friends becomes a suspect, Marvy sets out to solve the murder mystery. She even convinces Spence, the wealthy and charming newspaper owner, to help. With his ties to the community, her talents for research, and her fellow librarian's knowledge, Marvy pursues the truth. But as she gets closer to it, could she be facing a deadly plot twist? So, what was your overall thoughts about this book? And we'll try to keep it spoiler free as far as who the
Yeah.
murderer is and all that.
I think that my favorite part of it, first and foremost, was that she was a librarian. I was like, look at the librarian saving the day like they always do, because that job is so much bigger than just like making sure someone knows when their due date to the library is back,
Uh huh.
their books are due. I'm like, they do so much for the community. So I just love like the scenes where she'd ask people like, do you have a library card? It's like, this is so cute. I loved kind of not necessarily fish out of water, because I can tell that she's been in Georgia for a little while, but still like getting used to the different culture. She's from New York City, so it's like night and day. She said something in the book about like the way that they approach time is a lot more laid back, and I thought that was really cool. I mean, here I am again feeding into big bad New York City, but I really liked seeing that. And it's like with cozy mysteries, usually in either like within the first three books, there's going to be somebody that the main character is close to, and that's they like want to solve it to like clear their name. And I liked that it was the first one in this, so we could see that, like, Joe, the main suspect, is her friend. I liked it. I mean, I would
Uh
like to
huh.
see more. So I don't know how Hallmark does with their mystery series as far as like publication goes. But I hope that we get more, because I read Dead End Detective by Amanda Flower last year, and I haven't heard anything as far as like, are we getting more books from that series? So I don't know how often they plan on like releasing these, but this read very much like a first book in a series, which I think can
Hmm.
sometimes be really hard to do, because you're just essentially setting everything up. And that's how this one felt. So, what did you think?
I liked Marvy as a character. I thought she was fun, and I also liked her interactions with Spence.
Hmm.
I was sort of skeptical of him a little bit at the beginning because he was kind of a little bit of a jerk, and
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, is this guy gonna end up being the murderer? Uh, but then he didn't. And so that was, I thought, well done, that dynamic. I
Yeah.
do think there's a couple things going against this. I mean, it's so similar to Aurora Teagarden that I
Hmm.
think that makes it tough. I mean, Aurora Teagarden is also a librarian,
Hmm.
and she's also, I mean, it's not in the South, I guess, but I think it's very similar. And so that's tough when that's such a popular series, both book and show. Uh, I also thought that it was kind of ridiculous how quick the cops suspected Joe when the only evidence was that it was at her store. They had nothing else tying her
Yeah.
to the case, and they just kept saying, "Well, it was at her store," and I'm like, "What is?" Like, what? You need more than that. Just being a location that this person owns is not enough evidence to like make her the primary suspect in your case. I thought that was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the cops were not the sharpest tool in the shed in this story.
Probably small town Georgia. They're probably like, well, we're not really used to having these down here.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I've let, like, the more that I read them, there's usually, and like, I feel like learning how to read mysteries, but like, I will automatically think, oh, this has to be it. Like the way that this person is acting, it has to be them. And then you finally finish it and you're like, well, that was really wrong. Like, why would I have thought that this person was like, so I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes they're going to plant somebody in the book to make you think this is that person just because of how they're acting. And then it's not them. So I've kind of given up. Like, I try to just read them like normal books and not try to figure out who did it. Like, I don't ever
Uh-huh.
try to read it.
Were you suspect of Spence though at the beginning?
Not really. Like I try to just read. I try not to figure out who did it. Like, I
Mhm.
really do not. Whenever it gets revealed who it is, I'm like, oh, cool. I saw that. I didn't see, like, I can see that happening. I try not to focus on the who did it too much.
Mhm. What do you think about the chemistry between Marvy and Spence?
Um,
Do
you
you think they could be going somewhere with that?
I think it could be, the thing with cozies, the only thing that kind of gets me with them is a lot of times you'll get a love triangle. So I'm just wondering if she's going to avoid that if we get more books, is if it's just going to be them. But
Mhm.
usually, like, chocolate chip cookie murder, the first in oh my gosh, the Hannah Swenson series. Like, I was reading that series and I'm like, there's this love triangle between her and these two guys who are both pretty good. It's just like, I don't
Mhm.
know why cozy
Mhm.
mystery authors feel like that needs to be a thing. Maybe we should have one on eventually. That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be
But,
fun.
I'm like, I'm interested because I'm like, I wonder if Olivia Matthews is going to just keep it her and Spence and kind of drag it out throughout the series. But
Yeah.
again, only time will tell. Who knows what Hallmark's going to do. I hope we get more books.
Yeah. It would be fun if they what would be fun is if they did Q Bernard as Marvy. I think that would be
Oh my gosh,
right.
I want her in a mystery series so
Yeah.
bad.
It would be good. That would be
Yeah.
fun. I feel like she would do a good job, and then uh, who would be a good Spence?
Well, I had put on Twitter months ago that because the last Evergreen movie was really like
Yeah.
Hannah and, oh my gosh, Antonio, I'm blanking,
Yeah.
Elliot. I was
Yeah.
like, I want them to star in a mystery series together.
Yeah. I don't know if he could do a southern accent, but I mean, I love Antonio Caon so much, so they could get rid of that part. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be
Just let them
fun.
talk normal.
Yeah, and I liked Evergreen, but I was disappointed that they had them break up, and I didn't really like that part of that movie. Um, but they could be the leads in the Murder
Hmm.
by Page One. That would be
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah. Absolutely.
definitely.
They're so
Anyway,
talented. We just fan casted, okay? For
yes, let
this.
us know your fan cast if you've read this book. So let's talk about. Well, my other overall thoughts is I did feel like it wrapped up very rushed, and I didn't
Hmm.
feel like the murderer was very well kind of established. It was just like, boom, it was all over and wrapped up,
Yeah.
done to me.
Yeah. It did
So
feel like it felt like, I say once you get past the halfway point, there's a little bit where it kind of drags a little and then
then it just
it's
kind of,
over.
yeah, it's just kind of over.
So,
Yeah. So there's no spice of any kind in
mm-mm.
this, none. But then the chemistry, we had some chemistry between Spence and Marvy, and then some friendship between Jolene and Marvy. Uh, and then we have trope time. So some the tropes, you have amateur sleuths being allowed to access everything they shouldn't,
Right.
which is very true.
Ah.
You have a lot of like southern charms, a lot of
Mhm.
those kind of archetypes, I guess. Then you have the cobbler run, which was funny and gross.
Yeah.
Make you want to enter a cobbler run.
Oh gosh, no.
And then we also have, of course, our trope of the girl going back to the country, to leaving the bad city, going to the country in
Right.
this one.
I was like, in a mystery too? Okay.
Yeah, they even got it in the mysteries. I like I said, I do think the fact that it's so similar to Aurora Tea Garden is I'm surprised they didn't make her change that and
Well,
have her
I
not be a
wonder,
librarian.
I mean, it would be so interesting. I feel like uh, this would probably never happen because they seem pretty elusive, but like, it would be interesting to talk to someone from publishing.
I know.
I wonder, did they pitch this idea to her and she write it? Or did she pitch the idea and they went with it? I mean, I haven't watched Aurora Tea Garden, and I mean, I think at this point, right? It's cozy mysteries are kind of like romance. There's only so much you can like. Everything has been done. So
Hmm.
writing a small town librarian cozy mystery, I assuming if you're an Aurora Tea Garden fan, you're gonna notice those similarities. But
But I mean,
I
you could have
wonder.
easily made her a teacher, or even I don't know. It's just like Aurora Tea Garden is their biggest franchise they have right now.
Mhm.
So it's particularly strange.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
think if you're going to do something that's really similar, you got to really bring it. And
yeah.
I mean, this one was okay, but like I said, it felt very setting up for possibly
Mm-hmm.
what's to come. So I hope that there is more to come. Otherwise, it's just kind of okay, you know?
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I'd give it. I think I gave it uh 3 out. I give I think a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies Podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
All right. Well, let's talk about some other stuff we've been reading.
Okay.
So the first one I wanted to talk about is nonfiction that I've been reading, and it's called Intuitive Eating by Evelyn Tribole and Elsie Resch. And it has just been such a revelation. It's been so helpful to me. It's basically, the idea is it's about not dieting and really just starting to listen to your body of when you're actually hungry, and like being very mindful of it, and keeping track, making sure that every meal has a protein, a healthy fat, and a fiber. And I don't know, I've really I found it a very it was a very empowering book, and something that's really helped me. I've been feeling really good the last a little while that I've been. There's a YouTuber named Abby Sharp who I love her videos so much, and it's just nice because like they focus on taking out the moral weight of food, so it's not, you're not cheating, or you don't feel guilty, you're not like all of that kind of moral, where you should feel this is bad, this is good. It's just about making listening to your body. And anyway, it's I really thought I've really enjoyed it, and I've really found it helpful. So as a nonfiction I read.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your first one that you read?
My first one was Once Upon a Royal Summer by Terry Wilson, which
Ah.
releases, I think, in June. I was able to read it via NetGalley, so thank you to them. And I loved this.
Ah.
It follows Lacey. She is a theme park princess, and she got into that career as when she was a little girl. Her mom, unfortunately, was really sick and spent a lot of time in the hospital before passing away. And she talks about how these theme park princesses would come to the hospital to like make the kids, cheer up, like spark some
Yeah.
joy. And so she took that job on, and she's been doing it. And unbeknownst to her, like there's this grumpy single dad in the crowd at one of her shows with a baseball cap on, and she has no idea that he's an actual prince. He has flown to America with his daughter. He's a widow, and he just wants his daughter to enjoy childhood. His mom, the queen back home, is just like, she's getting older. There's all these like royalty expectations, and he's like, "Mom, like I want her to be a kid." So he takes her to America. They go to the theme park, and like she needs a volunteer to like waltz with her. And so she's like, oh, it's going to be grumpy single dad. He probably has no idea what he's doing. And of course, he's a real prince, so he knows how to waltz. And the story just kind of goes from there. And she did a fantastic job of like blending those worlds. Like Lacey is obviously a theme park princess, so a lot of her princess royalty stuff is obviously fake, but she still knows so much to where she really does like fit into their world, but she just gives them like this fresh, fun perspective, and like just really humbles them in a lot of ways.
Uh-huh.
And I loved it. Like I love Terry
Uh,
Wilson. Her writing is so fun. And I'm like, you know
yeah.
what? Hallmark is really like doing something different with these books that are coming out this summer. And
Yeah.
like this is the like a step in the
Uh,
right direction. It was a lot
I
of fun.
just got it. Yes, like yesterday or the day
Yay!
before, they just sent me an ARC, and I cannot wait. I
You're gonna
love
love
Terry's writing, and
it.
of course, this would be no spice, right?
Yeah, no spice, no
No
spice.
spice. Yeah. What would you give it out of 5?
I rated it, I think, a 4.5 on Goodreads. I
Oh,
really liked it.
I
Yeah, she did
can't
a
wait.
lot.
Yeah.
She's one of those authors who will like, because I read a month ago, The Trouble with Picket Fences by her, and she'll take like, in that one it was like white picket fence. In this one it's like princess, and she just
Yeah.
runs with that and explores like different ways
Yeah.
to like tell a story surrounded by it. And
Well, she
I love it.
loves royals, Terry.
Yeah.
So that's why we had her on. We've had her on a number of times, but we had her on most recently for the recap of the Laura Osnes. I can't think of what it was called. Royal movie at Christmas.
Hmm.
Can't think of the name. Anyway, we had her on for that. So it's because I knew she just loved Royal so much. But I am really excited about that book. That sounds very good. So my first one that I wanted to talk about, fiction-wise at least, was A Proper Scoundrel by Esther Hatch. We've had Esther on the podcast a bunch of times. She's actually a friend of mine, I guess, full disclosure. But she writes really fun Regency novels. And this is the third in the Proper series that she's done. There's a Proper Scandal, a Proper Charade, and then now a Proper Scoundrel. And
Hmm.
this is about Lord Bryant, who's been a character in the 2 previous books. and now he gets his own book. And he's always been a bit of a rake, as they like to say in Regency books. And basically, you have this woman who she, through various things, has ended up being able to purchase the railroad company, and she's trying to run it, but everybody keeps. She's trying to get investors, but nobody will take her seriously as a woman in that time period, and they're all trying to like court her or woo her, and so she lies and says that she is already in a relationship with Lord Bryant, and so that kind of it's sort of like a sort of it's like a purposeful scandal kind of, because the idea that she'd be with Lord Bryant is like, ooh, because he's seen as this kind of rake.
Yeah.
And so it like it purposely lowers her reputation so that she doesn't have these people coming after her. He finds out about this, and at the beginning he's kind of upset about it, and but then he ends up kind of going along, and things go from there. It's very fun. It might be my favorite of the three. I really enjoyed it. She does a great job building romantic tension between characters, and giving like little moments of touch and look, and that I think are so effective. And I just I dug it. I thought it was really good.
Yay.
Hmm. Yeah. And you don't have to have read the other two, but I think you should, because they're both good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really fun. And so check that one out if you haven't read it yet. It's really, really good. So what's your next?
My next one is A Path to Sunshine Cove by Rayanne Thane. This is romance slash women's fiction. It follows, goodness, her name's Jess. Jess, and then her sister Rachel. And Jess, she's in this job where she basically travels around, and if there is an elderly person who's getting ready to move into like an old folks home or like a retirement home, or whatever the case may be, she comes in and she helps them go through their belongings to figure out what to keep, what to, donate and throw away. Really cool job. And it leads her back to Sanctuary, where her sister lives. And the romance is with the son of the woman whose home this woman's name is Eleanor. Her son is Nate, and the romance is between them. But the book is also just really about her rekindling the relationship with her sister. They became orphans, I believe. Both one of their parents died, or both of their parents died, and her sister ended up in like a really good home, and Jess ended up more of like in a foster home that wasn't necessarily the best, the group home type of situation. And just what both of those situations, how they like developed them into the women that they've become. And their relationship is really kind of estranged, but you can see that they both want that connection. So I thought that she did a fantastic job of giving us the romance that we want between Jess and Nate, but also that sisterly relationship, which I think is like equally just as important. So, no steam. I think it's a perfect like spring and early summer read if it's something that you're into. And yeah, she's one of my first romance authors that I read, and I'm so happy that like she's still writing. Everything she puts out is really good.
Great. Yeah, I should say Proper Scoundrel, despite its name, is spice free. So I've
Okay.
had some kissing. If that's all you can handle, that's all that they have. So my next is one that you recommended last time, which was really
my
fun.
gosh, I see.
I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and this has moderate spice, I would say. there's some steamy scenes, but not too bad.
Yeah, I don't remember it being horrible.
No. But more than Hallmark, of course. Anyway, it's really cute. It's about this woman who finds out that her father has had this second life with this other family, basically, and she's devastated at first. And he's passed away. But then she goes there because she has to write a beach read for her contract, And it turns out that her sort of rival in college uh, is living next door, and he writes really cynical books.
Hmm.
And so they meet up again, and they make a deal: is he's going to write a rom-com and she's going to write one of his cynical books. And as they keep spending time together, of course, sparks fly, and it was really cute. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that book is so. I mean, I haven't heard. I have one friend who was like, "It's okay," but for the most part, like everybody loved it. I loved that it's titled Beach Read, and it literally came out like last spring, so like the
Yeah.
beginning of beach season, right? And it has
Yeah.
this cute yellow cover. I mean, I don't even know how often they're actually on the beach. I think they're more so on
Not
like
that
a lake,
much.
but it was so good.
Yeah. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Because
Okay.
I'm pretty stingy about when I give my 4.5s or 5s.
Hmm.
I did give a 4.5 to Proper Scoundrel, but I admit it's my friend, so
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed Beach Read. It was very good, and the chemistry between the two is off the chart.
Yeah. I can't
Wonderful.
wait for
So
her next one. People we
I
meet on
know.
vacation.
Yeah, when does that one come out?
I feel like it's out. I
Let
know
me
it was a
see.
book of the month pick, so that's probably why I was seeing
Oh
it
yeah, you're
around.
right. It's out.
But I feel like it's out. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we'll talk more
my
about that later.
yeah,
But
my
what
next
is
pick
your next?
is Before Summer Ends by Susan Mallory. I have yet to read much Susan Mallory. I feel like I've read like one summer book, maybe one Christmas book, and now this one. So I'm really new to her, but um, I really loved this one. It has like my favorite trope ever, which is siblings best friend. And in this one, the brother of the heroine, like the heroine's like going to Italy, and she like rented out her place. Well, the people show up early, and she's like, well, I need the money, so I'm not gonna like tell them they can't stay yet. So she's like, I need a place to stay. So her brother's like, oh, well, stay. His name was Desmond, I think. He's like, go stay with Des. You know, he's got this big, he's like a millionaire type of person. He's got this huge house with all this space. You can go stay with him. And she's like, do you think that's smart? Because like everybody knows they have had a crush on each other. And that's what I liked about it. Usually with siblings best friend, it's like this hush hush secret. And like everyone has known that these two like each other, but even though Desmond comes from money, his parents like emotionally kind of neglected him. So their family really took him in. And so her brothers kind of planted the seeds of like, don't disrespect my parents by like going after my sister kind of thing. But even the parents knew that they were like crazy about each other. So I really, really, really loved it. It has like the cutest spring cover. I don't remember there being any heat, any steam in there. If y'all read it, I'm
Mm.
sorry if I'm lying, but like I don't remember there being any in there. It was just really sweet and really fun, and it's so good, you guys. So that's Before Summer Ends by Susan Mallory.
Very good. I have read Susan Mallory before, so I'll have to check that one out. I read the marriage one, the Fool's Gold, one of the
Oh
Fool's Gold.
yeah, yeah. See,
I can't
there's an
remember the
author that
name.
I'm surprised we haven't seen like, and maybe there are some like a Hallmark adaptation that I just don't know about, but
Yeah, well, there was the marriage one that was in Fool's Gold. I can't think of. It's got oh, it's got Trevor Donovan in it.
okay.
I can't think of the name. Anyway, it's like "Marry Me at Christmas" or something. I can't think of the name. Anyway, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked her a lot. She's good. Okay, so my next one was The History of Us, and this is by Stacey Agdern, and it comes out in June. And we had got to interview Stacey. We'll have that uh, interview in June, closer to the release date. But yeah, this is really cute. It's about a woman who is like a curator for a museum,
Hmm.
who gets assigned to go and handle the archives for this big house, the like Rockville, I think it was Rockcliffe Manor. and the oldest son of the Rockcliffe family is kind of assigned to help her. And the more time they spend together, the more their relationship grows. And it's definitely a second chance romance kind of thing. And it was really cute, and it's from a like a Jewish perspective. All of her books are, which is nice. And yeah, I liked it. I gave it 3 out of 5. And I liked her Hanukkah one a little bit more, but it's certainly I would recommend people check it out.
Okay.
So yeah, we like I said, we got to
My
talk to her.
Yeah, she was so sweet.
I know, she's so
I was
nice.
like, when we were chatting with her, I'm like, is this book out? Like, I'm like chatting, like listening to her talk and trying to Google it at the same time. And I'm like, crap, no, it's not out yet.
Yeah, I got an early copy.
Hey, I love the cover to that one. It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get it.
it's cute.
Um, so my next one is a Brambleberry Summer, which is also by Rand Thane. This one comes out in June. So I was able to read it via
Oh.
NetGalley. So thank you to them. Um, really liked this one. It actually ties into, I don't know if it's previous books in this particular series, which I have. This is the first book from this. She has a series called like the Women of Brambleberry House. I have not read it. I just went into this one knowing nothing at all. I think that that is fine, but the main character in this one, we meet her as a grown woman, and I'm pretty sure because I've chatted with Ray and things since finishing it that she's initially introduced as a teenager in a previous book. So I'll get the details and I'll let you
Mm.
guys know. But anyway, she lives in this house called Brambleberry House, and there's a police officer that needs a place to stay, him and his son, while their home's being like renovated. And right off the bat, we get that she's kind of weary of law enforcement and he's picking up on it. But there's also this attraction, and she owns like this store, and there's a woman that's working for her that you can tell is hiding something. Like Rayanne Thane is she's phenomenal at creating these really comfy small towns that are just like it's so inviting, and the characters are all very charming, and then she just lets loose on romantic suspense, like intrigue that you did not even expect coming comes. So it was just a really nice change of pace to like read something a little bit different than everything that else that I had been reading, and just return to her like a familiar author who never disappoints. There's no steam in this one. I loved it. I loved it. So if you want something like small town cozy, but then oh my gosh, the out of nowhere, like talk about heroine's journey, heroine having to save the day by herself, like that's in this book. So that is a Brambleberry Summer by Rand Thane, and I'm pretty sure I rated this one like 4, maybe 4.5 stars on Goodreads.
Mm. That's great. I'm excited to check that out. Okay, my last one is the South Beach Love by Caridad Pinerio, and we are going to be talking with her just coming up.
Yes.
We'll have an interview with her. So it is a Hallmark Publishing book, and I really enjoyed this book. I kind of raced through it because I enjoying it so much, and I thought that she did such a good job of including touch as like a palpable like way to increase in attraction and chemistry and your just investment in the story, and as much as you can possibly do in a Hallmark steam free book. And I just thought she did such a good job of like every time their hands would touch and they would feel this like spark in their stomachs, and like I don't know, and she does a good job of telling the story from lots of different characters, which sometimes annoys me because a lot of times, like for instance reading The Help, it's just like I want to keep hearing Aibileen because she was the best one, and they keep switching off to all these different narrators. And sometimes I don't like that. But in this case, it kind of made it work, and it's basically about these two chefs. One has been up in New York City, becoming famous, and then the other is has a small place in South Beach. They come down to put on the quinceañeras of their sisters, and they the spark connects when they meet each other again. And she was the sister of his best friend, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I don't know
Yeah.
if you had a chance to read it yet, but it
Yeah, I
was
loved it too.
really good.
And I mean, that's like my favorite trope. So
Yeah.
I loved it.
She did such a good job of building up to when they finally kiss. Oh, because they
Yeah.
had just like I just thought she did such a good job with touch and feel and building up that suspension.
Yeah, it's like the love languages test. I mean, physical
Oh yeah.
touches, I love that too. I think those small gestures tend to get overshadowed in romance sometimes. It's like sometimes we don't recognize the actual like romance part in romance novels if it's
Mm-hmm.
there at all. So yeah, I think she nailed it with that. Like those little gestures that just go a long way.
Yeah, it really does. It builds and builds and builds, and just it makes you. It's very, they say that men are like microwaves, women are like crock pots, and I think that that's the case. She does a good job of being a crock pot of just like just these little moments of connection, and that really work well.
Yeah.
Very good. So all right, well, and that they like I said, there is lots of touch as far as and kiss and things like that, but there's no like actual like it's spicy, but it's low spicy,
Yeah.
but done very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Such a good
So,
book.
what about you? What's your last recommendation?
My last one is another royalty book. I was like, look at me. Because honestly, like royalty things, I don't really, I can take it or leave it. But I have been reading them and I've been loving them. So my last one is Queen by Royal Appointment, and this is by Lucy Monroe, which it just released like I think May 25th. But it was incredible. It's about Natalia and Nikolai, and they both come from like these royal backgrounds, and Natalia had to sign this like agreement at the age of 18 when, like, according to her, she was young and dumb and naive, and it was to like marry one she's supposed to marry Nikolai's brother Constantine, but she finds out that during their like 10-year, they have to go like 10 years apart from each other or whatever, he's actually like sleeping with other girls, and she's really big on fidelity and honesty. And so she's like, okay, so she agrees to do this like magazine column that's all about, I think it's like 10 first dates or something. And she doesn't like, nothing sexual happens with these dates. It's more so like what to wear on first dates kind of thing. But of course, to like this Constantine prince, he's like, oh, you went on these dates, something must have happened, like guilty conscience. So she's like, stands her ground, and she's like, I'm not marrying this guy. He was unfaithful during this time. Like he was he did not hold up his end of the bargain. But his brother Nikolai steps in, and he's like, well, I think you should still fulfill it, and you should marry one of the brothers, and it can be me. And she's had a crush on this guy since she was a kid. So it's like the girl finally gets the guy. He's really into her, but she doesn't really believe it's real. She just thinks it's marriage of convenience. And he believes that he's not romantic at all, but kind of like what you were talking about with South Beach Love, he's always like gently like rubbing the like palm of her hand, or like he'll grab her hand and like kiss the inside of her palm. Like he
Oh,
was
so good.
so romantic. I was like, you are totally opposite of what you think you are. This one is a little bit steamier, so just, forewarning anyone that's not looking for that in their book. But it is so, the first like chapter is so intense. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come down off of this, but then it just gets really romantic from there, and I loved it. So yeah, that's Queen by Royal Appointment by Lucy Monroe.
That sounds really fun. Well, I think we gave some great recommendations
We
to check
did.
out. So
May was a good month.
yes, it really was fun. And so, what we are going to do for next month, for June, is we are going to read The People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry. Because
Yes.
we didn't want to always do Hallmark books. We want to open up, and this probably is a little bit spicy. So, we haven't read it, so we don't know. But
Yeah.
just guessing by beach read. So if that's not your thing, probably don't read it, but it'll be fun, and we'll talk about that next month and see what we thought.
Yeah. And I checked. I don't know if, I mean, besides South Beach Love and then Terry Wilson's book next month, I don't know if Hallmark has anything scheduled to come out. So I don't know. I think,
That's true.
we're doing the right thing.
So let us know what you think, if you've read any of the books that we talked about, and if you had read The Murder by Page One by Olivia Matthews. Let us know what you think of that.
Yeah.
We would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section, and you can follow both of us on Goodreads. We have that in the description. And Bree, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Falling for Romance, and I co-host the Categorically Romance podcast with my friend Sarah, where we talk about category romance. All of that you can find on my link tree on Instagram.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out, and make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that so much. We have our merch store, which has some fun sleuther inspired merch, so check that out.
Yes.
And then we also have our patron group, which is really great. And we just recently, speaking of Aurora Tea Garden, we had Mary Lou Henner on for Q&A just for our patrons. So you get some really great benefits from being in the patron group. It's only $2 to join in. So thanks so much, and we'll talk again next month.
Bye everyone.